Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jeff Phillips again with College Frog and National Meet the Firms Week. We're going to get started on what's going to be an awesome presentation today and tonight, actually, for our presenter. I'll explain that in a moment. We're recording today's session so that we can watch it later, and for those of you who couldn't make it, you'll get to watch it later on YouTube. And so, gosh, it's day 4 of Meet the Firms Week. We're getting near the home stretch here, but it's been a great week. So if you've participated in all the webinars, well, actually, if you haven't participated in the webinars, you'll know. I want you to know that the first day of the week, we listened to Wiley CPA Excel talk about how to make a winning game plan for the CPA exam. That'll be available on webinar next week. And we heard from Deloitte talking about the essential skills you need to make that important transition from college to career. And if you missed yesterday's session with Yvonne Harris, College Frog's career coach, it was great. She talked about very practical advice about how to negotiate job offers, how to select from competing job offers, how to turn a job offer down, and how you can make an immediate impact in the start. Yeah, we're talking a lot about soft skills, but these are critical elements to really hit the ground running when you start your career. So back to talking about today. I want to thank you all for being here. We've got a team, literally an international team presenting today, and I look forward to hearing the presentation. I would like for everybody on the call to tell us what school you are attending. You can go ahead and enter that into your control panel. I'd like to tell. So Alan and team, we've got people from Stony Brook, Texas Christian University, which is in Fort Worth, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Mississippi College, Cal Poly, University of Denver, Wayne State, North Carolina, Austin Community College, University of Texas at Austin, University of Idaho, University of Georgia, Trinity Christian College, Calvin College, Calgary in Canada, University of Maryland, Thomas Jefferson School of Law, recent graduate from Caldwell College, UC Irvine, Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU, Indiana University, South Bend, Cal State Northridge. So for Alan and Sarah and you guys in England, you can gather that there is a wide audience from across the United States here on this call. This is really exciting. So today's a critical element of career planning. And if you're not familiar with the ACCA, although I'm sure most of you are, the ACCA is a global body for accounting professionals and accounting careers. So let's say that you wanted to have a career in Hong Kong, or you wanted to practice accounting in Dubai, anywhere outside of the United States. ACCA is a globally recognized brand, a globally recognized credential. It's like a passport where you can work anywhere and it's recognized everywhere. So they offer a professional level qualification for global careers. Today we're going to be hearing from Alan Hatfield. So Alan is the Director of Learning for the ACCA, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. Alan is a member of the ACCA's executive team, and he has responsibility for ensuring that the ACCA provides students and members with the competencies that are demanded by employers globally. So Alan's been with the ACCA, Alan has had 20 years of experience within professional education and has a passion for lifelong learning. So he's led the ACCA's Learning Directorate since 2009. Alan, I'm going to turn it over to you. I just wanted to say thank you. I know it's 8 o'clock at night where you're at, but we have an eager group of students ready to learn, and the floor is yours. But once again, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff, and hello everyone. As Jeff said, my name is Alan Hatfield and I'm the Director of Learning at ACCA, and I have to tell you it's a cold, rainy, dark evening here in London, but hearing all the places that you're calling in from brings some sunshine, I think, over to London. So thank you very much for joining us today. I'm delighted to be joining you today on this ACCA-sponsored webinar, and I'd like to talk to you today about the global opportunities in accounting and finance, And I'm going to talk about this in a general sense, but I also think it's important that all of you on this call should be aspiring for the top. So I'm going to talk about the future world of the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer. Now, you are, I'm sure, all talented individuals who are reaching for a high level of educational excellence through your studies. And so I'm appreciative of that. So I'm also going to help to show how you can take the steps to become the CFOs or even the CEOs of tomorrow, and talk about how the ACCA qualification can also support that journey. Now, everyone who's listening, I think, might have gathered by now that whilst I'm calling in from London, I am talking with a Scottish accent. So to give you some context and to help you become accustomed to my accent, imagine, and this might depend on your age, but imagine you're either listening to Sean Connery or you're listening to Braveheart, or perhaps Ewan McGregor, or even Andy Murray for those tennis players amongst the audience, and probably younger generation amongst the audience as well. Now, we have a whole hour together. My plan is to talk for about 30 to 35 minutes, and then also have some time for questions at the end. To just share the agenda that I'm proposing to cover in the presentation with you, I'd like to talk about what ACCA is, first of all, and I appreciate that you may not have heard of us, so I'm going to give you a bit of information about what we do, our mission and our values, and the type of people that follow successful careers by joining ACCA. I'm also going to talk to you about why I think now is a really exciting time for the accountancy profession. And I should tell you now that I'm not a salesman. I am speaking from the heart, and I genuinely think that the accountancy profession is the one to watch as the world continues to experience rapid fluctuation and change. Finally, I'll cover what ACCA offers through our professional qualification. I'll tell you a bit about the structure of our qualification and how we help our students on the pathway to a career in accountancy. So, first of all, what is ACCA? Well, ACCA is the global body for professional accountants. We've been around since 1904, and so we have a long and illustrious history of offering qualifications that enable individuals to enter the accountancy profession and go on to have very successful careers. We ensure our professional accountants in all our sectors and in all our countries reach and maintain a high level of competency and experience, and we also ensure that our members are regulated in their work and their professional conduct. Now, once our students have achieved membership, they are considered professionals in the truest sense of the word. This means they can use the letters ACCA after their names, which makes them clearly identifiable as finance professionals to businesses and the public. They can then go on to achieve what we call fellowship status, and throughout their careers they can take advantage of a range of technical, career, networking and research benefits that the ACCA offers. Very importantly, our members and our students come from a very diverse mix of backgrounds and cultures, and this helps organisations around the world benefit from the diverse thinking and the different perspectives that ACCA complete finance professionals bring to organisations. Now, when talking about ACCA and an organisation, we always refer back to our values, and they are opportunity, diversity, innovation, accountability and integrity, and they should be appearing in front of you. These values do not change over time. They've remained in place since 1904 when we were first created, and our organisation and our students and members remain true to them. By remaining true to them, we've provided opportunity for people in many countries around the world. Throughout our history, we've put qualities such as high standards, diversity, international relevance, integrity, and innovation at the heart of everything that we do. So in that respect, I think we're a truly pioneering professional body, and we've helped to establish and grow the accountancy profession in developed and also emerging markets around the world. And capacity building is a very, very important part of our work as an organisation. Now, I know, as I said, that many of you are probably not that familiar with the ACCA or the ACCA brand, and so I thought I'd also just give you an idea of our global spread of members and an idea of the scale of the organisation that we have. So, first of all, our global network. This slide in front of you shows you where we have offices. It shows you where we have active centres and partnerships around the world. As you can see, it's quite considerable. And also, of course, I must mention that it includes our ACCA office in New York, as well as many of the chapters of members that we have across the USA. And in fact, our head of ACCA USA, Warner Johnson, and his team of staff have helped to organise this session, and some of them are on the call with us today. Those of you who are interested in working and travelling in the course of your careers outside of the USA will be interested to see the many markets and countries in which you'll find significant numbers of ACCA members and students. And Jeff, in his introduction, touched on this. For example, you might want to work in places like Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai, Kuala Lumpur, or London, or you may have aspirations to work in parts of Africa, such as Botswana, Kenya, Uganda, Ghana. You'd find significant ACCA brand recognition in these markets, together with ready-made networks of ACCA professionals. Now, in terms of numbers, again, just to give you a sense of the organisation, we currently have 162,000 members around the world. So those are those individuals who have qualified as ACCA members, moving through the qualification and qualifying and moving into membership. We then also have 428,000 students around the world who are on their journey to becoming a complete finance professional with ACCA. So that's over 600,000 members and students. And of course that number is growing year on year. The map that I showed you shows that we operate out of 89 different international offices, and we have centres in 173 countries around the world. So it gives you a sense of the scale. We also work with over 200 approved learning or tuition or teaching providers who are teaching the ACCA qualification, and we have formalised relationships with over 8,500 employers globally as well, and obviously with employability being at the centre of this week, that's a key element of the ACCA network. So I'd really like for the map and for these figures to help emphasise to you that ACCA is truly a global organisation. Now that's an introduction to who we are and who I am. I hope it's helped you start thinking about global possibilities offered by a global accountancy profession. I'd now like to spend some time talking to you about why I think now is an incredibly exciting time to work in accountancy and finance. Okay, so I'm going to share some findings with you from a couple of pieces of research ACCA has conducted in collaboration with prestigious partners and through speaking to our most senior members. And the research, the purpose of showing you the research is to show that things are rapidly moving for accountants and that a career in accountancy can be exciting and rewarding. And when I talk about accountancy, I'm really talking about carrying out finance-related roles in many different sectors, including public practice, the big four accountancy firms, the public sector, in government, in financial services, and of course in the corporate sector, where there are a significant proportion of our students and members based. We have accountants also working in NGOs, in startups, and across many different industries, including fashion, media, telecoms, and aeroplanes as well. So the list is pretty much endless. But what's it like working in accountancy and finance now? Well, it won't surprise you, I think, if I say turbulence is the new normal. We live in a time where the world and the respective economies are exposed to constant shifts, and that's expected to continue. This affects all corners of the global economy. It affects businesses globally and the accountancy profession. And by having an understanding of the emerging trends, it helps us to better prepare and places us in a stronger position to change, adjust and evolve for the future. And it helps us define what the profession will or could look like. So I just want to consider some of the external factors that are creating the turbulence that I've referred to. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these with you, but you will of course be aware that shifts in power and wealth, extreme economic uncertainty and political transitions are occurring throughout the world. At the same time, the business landscape is being reshaped by a combination of market volatility, globalization, and transformational innovation. And the impact of all of these challenges is compounded by rapid advances in science and technology, demographic shifts, and new disruptive business models which we're seeing appearing. Now, all of that, I think, actually adds up to very exciting times. And, you know, there are challenges, but those challenges are there to be grasped. Now, to enable ACCA to understand the future, we have a research academy within ACCA called ACCA's Accountancy Futures, and we recently carried out some work which we called 100 Drivers of Change for the global accountancy profession. And we did this in partnership with an organization which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, the Institute of Management Accountants, which is based in the USA. The work was underpinned by a global survey which was designed to address a particular question. And the question which we were posing was, what are the key factors that ACCA and IMA members should be thinking about to prepare for future opportunities and challenges over the next 5 to 10 years? Now, the report looked at the drivers of change, and it looked at how accountants might respond to those changes. Now, for those of you who are thinking, oh my goodness, he's now going to take us through 100 drivers of change, fear not, I'm not going to do that. But you'll be relieved to hear that what we actually did was we looked at the 100 drivers and we then clustered those into what we think are very clear groupings. So I do want to share the groupings with you, because I think it does really share the categories that we need to think about that came from this research. So the 8 broad categories should be listed in front of you now, and they cover the economy, politics and law, society, business, science and technology, environment, energy and resources, practice of accounting, and the accountancy profession. And just as an example of those drivers of change, I'd just like to touch on science and technology, and how those developments are driving huge changes in society and business, and they are for the accountancy profession too. Now, I don't need to tell you that technology can dramatically reshape the remit and the purpose of any function, and particularly the finance function. And what gets done and where can change through technology. We can certainly expect to see more automation of finance processes now and in the future, but there will always be the need for the finance professional to understand, to explain and communicate the numbers and the financial figures, and be the human face behind the technology that supports their work. And so I think the professional accountant needs to embrace technology, and the profession needs to embrace technology. It needs to lead the way with changes in technology and changes in this area, for example, in how we manage big data, which is a very frequent hot term that we hear these days. So those were the 8 different groupings coming out of our 100 drivers of change. But what does this mean, and how should we respond to what we're seeing in this research? Our 100 drivers report clearly suggests that the decade ahead will be characterized by these many forces acting on business and the accountancy profession. So we need to be ready for future business opportunities. We need to embrace the change, and we also need to find exciting new opportunities within it. Our report defined 5 things that businesses need to do for the next decade, and it also identified 5 things for the accountancy profession to do to prepare for the future. And I think it really is worth us considering these now. So we first of all came up with 5 imperatives for business, and these were directly linked to our findings. So we need to plan ahead, and in order to do that, we need to assume and plan for volatility. We need to build the radar in terms of preparing for a wide range of possibilities. We need to pursue technology leadership. We need to prepare for true globalization, and we need to develop a curious, experimental, and adaptable mindset. Now, when I say we, I mean business needs to, the business world needs to plan ahead in those areas. And to just pull out 2 in particular, the development of a truly global operating model is becoming a priority, even more of a priority. Equally important for organizations is the development of the capability of management to work with and adapt to and get the best out of a multi-location, multicultural and age-diverse workforce. So it's absolutely critical. Another critical success factor in an increasingly complex and fast-changing environment is for organizations to develop a curious culture. And this implies an environment that's open to external ideas and in which participants are encouraged to forge a network of strong working relationships and have the space to experiment and innovate. And I think it's fair to say that so much of that is easier said than done. It is a challenge, but businesses have to be planning ahead and thinking about these things. Now, moving on to think about the imperatives for the global accountancy profession. In terms of the global accountancy profession, again, the 5 areas that we identified here. First of all, the accountancy profession needs to embrace an enlarged strategic and commercial role. It needs to establish trust and ethical leadership within an organization. It needs to focus on a holistic view of complexity, risk, and performance. It needs to develop a global orientation, and extremely importantly, it needs to reinvent the talent pool for the accountancy profession. So I think I'm speaking to the future talent pool of the accountancy profession. As I've mentioned, you are studying at a level that puts you within reach of being the CFO and the CEO of tomorrow. So I just want to now think about the talent pool and what we need to do for that talent going forward. Now, talented people make things happen. Well, that's quite a bold statement, and I am going to go out on a limb here. And I want to say that, to me, it's not strategies or rules on their own that make the difference. It's the people. And sometimes it's easy to forget that people, talent, make a business thrive and grow. It's the people, it's the talent that deliver, it's the people, it's the talent that innovate, and it's the people and the talent that instill trust and confidence within and externally to an organization. For ACCA, the future of finance talent is something we take very seriously. We know from our research with employers and members that the pathways to financial leadership are changing. And so As I said, at ACCA, we do take this kind of information very seriously. As a professional accountancy body operating in our global platform, we absolutely need to. We constantly evolve and we develop our professional qualification to ensure we meet the needs of businesses around the world and ensure our talent is incredibly well equipped to be the leaders, be the game changers, as well as the guardians of the profession. So just thinking about how you identify that talent, well, it's not just someone with the technical know-how or even the fantastic personal and professional skills. Our professional accountants also have to see the bigger organizational picture. They have to be prepared for the future. The CFOs of tomorrow don't just need to be great people managers. They also have to have a thorough grounding across the entire spectrum of financial management, from budgeting to performance management, compliance, and assurance. This view has been validated by the ACC research, which has offered a unique insight into the needs of CFOs when hiring and seeking new talent to join their teams. And I just want to move on to this because I think you will find this incredibly interesting. I'm going to share some more research with you, this time from a report called The Complete Finance Professional. And for this work, we surveyed nearly 500 CFOs across a range of countries. We asked them a series of questions about what was important to them when it comes to appointing newly qualified accountants. What gives them confidence in their new hires? What skills enable them to grow their business, particularly, for example, since the financial crisis? But what do they look in their new talent? So I just want to share some statistics with you from that research. Now, the research shows that recruiters, employers, are looking to appoint complete finance professionals. They're seeking out newly qualified accountants who have both the breadth and the depth of skills. And what you see in front of you are the knowledge and the skills that CFOs recruiting talent today want from their new accountant. So I think it's something for us today that is incredibly important for us to take note of. So first of all, it's critical to understand how the finance value chain, from budgeting to external reporting, all fits together. And of course, what was also scored really highly is a good understanding of financial management. This shouldn't be a surprise. We're talking about after all, about hiring professionals who have expertise in accountancy and finance. Look at the really high scores as well on professionalism and ethics. Accountants must score highly in these areas in order to retain trust in the profession. And remember, trust was one of the things that I mentioned when we were talking about the 5 imperatives for the global accountancy profession. Now, these skills are all covered very comprehensively in the ACCA qualification, and I will later on in the presentation just touch on how we develop those skills within the ACCA qualification. Now, as you can see, just finishing off the statistics there, the scores for management skills and stakeholder relationship management are slightly lower than the other scores, possibly because CFOs responsible for hiring would see this as an area for development for the future once their hires have more experience of working within the organization. But it's still a very high score coming through in terms of what CFOs want from new recruits. So you can see it's not just about the finance element, and Jeff talked about soft skills in his introduction, excuse me. Employers are looking for a very broad and diverse set of skills and encompassing the full range of technical and business and soft skills, which is a tall ask to be able to achieve, but one that we and you starting off in your accounting and finance careers really, I think, need to consider. Now, I just want to move on and think about you at the start of your careers, and think about ways that you're able to keep doors open, and relate that to the ACCA qualification. The ACCA qualification does create a complete finance professional with a broad base of knowledge and expertise upon which to build. It's a base from which you can develop, and if you desire, develop deep technical specialisms, as well as using it as a springboard to undertake a range of lateral moves to build knowledge and expertise and progress to those leadership roles which are so important to take economies and organizations into the future. So I would like to now move on to tell you a bit about the ACCA qualification, what it can do in practical terms to support you on the pathway to a career in accountancy and finance. Now, it's clear that the business world has a demand for breadth and depth of knowledge, and I hope you've seen that from some of the statistics and findings that have shown you from our recent research. History shows us how quickly the business environment can change. Recent history has shown us that, and the demands placed on the finance function. ACCA professionals can deal with these demands, and that's because our qualification has been designed to ensure that they are trained across those broad and deep areas that employers are looking for. I'm sure many of you who are thinking about taking your first steps into the workforce want to have very broad business careers, while others of you might want to pursue more classic finance careers. But let's face it, some of you also probably don't know what you want to do, and that's fine, and that's probably why you're also on the call. We get that a lot at ACCA. We've developed a very broad-based finance qualification to help keep career doors open, which then allows our students and our members to pursue a wider range of finance and business careers. And what we've created means that our complete finance professionals are competent and skillful in a wide range of disciplines. Now, that word competency, Jeff mentioned it in his introduction. I've mentioned it a couple of times now. I just want to focus on that for a little while. And what I'm showing you here are 10 key competencies which are developed within our students as part of our qualification. And I just want to mention, first of all, what a competency is. So we define a competency as a fundamental knowledge, ability, or expertise in a specific subject area or a specific behavior. And the wheel that you can see in front of you has the 10 key competencies featured within the ACCA qualification. So really what I'm showing you here is a competency framework that we've developed and which shows you exactly what skills and knowledge you get by studying the ACCA qualification, and we believe that these 10 areas make up the complete finance professional. Now, we don't have time to work through them all. I would like to highlight 3 and just give you a sense of what those competencies mean. So leadership and management, absolutely critical to organizations, and this is about managing resources and leading organizations effectively and ethically, understanding stakeholder needs and priorities. Sustainable management accounting, this looks at assessing, evaluating, implementing management accounting and performance management systems for planning, measuring, controlling and monitoring business performance to ensure sustainable value creation. Central to the wheel, professionalism and ethics, understanding and behaving in accordance with the fundamental principles of ethical behavior and personal ethics, ensuring implementation of appropriate corporate ethical frameworks. ACCA is a qualification program that provides the structure to gain all of these key competencies. And in very broad terms, this is what the structure looks like. So this is our qualification program. It's a very high level. There are 3 parts to becoming an ACCA member: completing our program of exams, completing our ethics, our online ethics module and requirements, and achieving a 3-year practical experience requirement, which you carry out in the workplace once you're employed in a finance or accounting role. As your university undergraduates, I expect the part you're most interested in at this stage is how to transition from university into a professional qualification like ACCAs. Of course, there are others as well. And so you're obviously also going to be thinking about how much study would be involved and how many more exams, that dreaded word, do you need to sit. So I just want to also just touch on our exam structure as well, to give you a view of a very high level view again of those exams. So someone coming in with a relevant accredited accounting degree, so coming from an accredited accounting background, would then have 5 professional papers to sit with ACCA. Our professional level is made up of 3 essential or 3 core papers, and then there's a choice of options which students can select as well, and students are required to do 2 options. The level we're talking about is a master's level in terms of intellectual equivalence and academic equivalence. And as you can see there from this slide, there are 2 routes into our professional level, either through a relevant accredited accounting degree route, as I've just said. Also though, for those students who are coming from non-accounting degree backgrounds, we do have the underpinning fundamentals level as well, which can then build your underpinning knowledge to then move on to those 5 papers which all of our students must complete before they move into membership with their experience and their ethics completed as well. Now, once an individual has completed the qualification, you can see on the slide before you, this is really the value proposition that we give to the market, the wider market, in terms of an ACCA member: strategically excellent, technically robust, and delivering organizational growth. ACCA professionals play vital roles in both the private and the public sectors. We promote them as advocates of sound business practices, champions of sustainable business development, and identifiers of value drivers which lead to high-performing organizations. I was reading research, or in fact a discussion paper, which the International Federation of Accountants, its headquarters are in New York. It's the global umbrella organization for all reputable professional accountancy bodies worldwide, and they've recently released a discussion paper about the skills that CFOs are looking for. And they state there's a need for professional accountants in 4 typical types of roles, all related though to value. One is creating value, one is enabling value, one is preserving value, and one is reporting value. And the CFO has to overlook all of that. And I think with the ACCA qualification and the skills, the competencies that we provide within the qualification, we very much fit across all of those value roles, and indeed leading into the CFO. Okay, so in summary, with the qualification, the ACCA qualification covers everything that a professional accountant needs to know. Tomorrow's CFO has to pull off a very challenging balancing act. They have to collaborate with the top executive team to drive strategy and growth, whilst they also have to ensure the business has firm foundations in the form of effective risk management, internal controls, governance procedures, and ACCA through its qualification leads the way, I believe, in providing the world with the complete finance professionals that it needs. Now, I mentioned earlier that some of you will be thinking about the next steps in your career as you undertake your accounting degrees and your accounting majors. And so I would also like to just finish off before I hand to Jeff by talking about some of the careers resources that ACCA can offer. We offer to our students and our members, and also to our potential students as well. So I'm showing you a page from the ACCA website, and when you join ACCA, or when you go to this page, you're immediately offered a range of support. You might already know that we have a huge Facebook presence, and indeed we have a Facebook page dedicated to ACCA in the USA. We have a very comprehensive and engaging website, and we also have a 24/7, 365-day-a-year contact center for our students and members and potential students. And this then enables us to offer a range of remote, also face-to-face networking and information events as an organization. In terms of career support, you can see our careers website, accacareers.com, in front of you, and it's aimed at those who want to join the profession, those who are already working in accountancy and finance as well. The website here provides our users with information about accountancy, as well as the facility to browse and apply for finance jobs worldwide. Employers and recruiters heavily use it to target a pool of highly skilled, highly qualified accountants for recruitment purposes, those talented people that I talked about earlier on in the presentation. And the type of material that I think you'll find useful includes information on subjects like psychometric testing, a key part of selection processes for candidates. There's also a section dedicated to graduate recruitment, as well as others focused on working internationally as well. So we offer this type of support because we want our students and we want our members to achieve their potential and be the best. But what about you? This seminar is for you, and the week indeed is for you to engage with your next steps as accounting and finance professionals. And so what does the future hold? Well, if you want a rewarding career that can take you anywhere, then to me this is the profession that can get you from where you want to be, whether that's in the boardroom as a CFO or as a small business owner advising other small businesses about their financial strategies and development. All organizations will always need professionals who understand finance. All organizations need talented people who can help make the business a success. And let's not forget too that professional accountants play a vital role in wider society as well. They provide value by giving businesses and individuals the confidence to invest, and that in turn allows countries, organizations, and most importantly people the opportunity to realize their potential. And I'm sure you're well on your way to being a key player in an extremely exciting time for finance professionals. Okay, I hope this presentation has helped you understand why the accountancy profession is an incredibly exciting choice right now, why it's something you might want to pursue as a career, and how a professional body like ACCA can help you succeed in your career goals. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me and indulging me indeed. I'd now like to hand over to Jeff, and hopefully we'll have some questions.
Alan, we have quite a few questions, and but first of all, thank you. This has been phenomenal. I will speak on behalf of the entire audience. Hopefully, I can imagine them not agreeing. One of the slides, one of the many points and takeaways I took it was about your statement that talent makes things happen. And you're talking to an audience of potential talent, and so it's important for them to understand how can they position themselves so that an employer would have confidence that they are that talent that can make things happen. And you listed, based off of ACCA's surveying, of what those skill sets are. So we'll be sending those back out through the recording of the webinar, because I hope that everyone on the call will pay very special attention to that. You want to position yourself in the best light possible to work in the best organizations. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, Alan, that have popped up. I'll speak to the audience quickly and tell you that if we cannot get to every single question, I'm going to give you a resource over the chat that you can chat live 24/7 with ACCA support to answer your questions. Alan, the first question that I'll ask you is, as a global qualification, what is ACCA's role in the international financial discourse?
Okay, thank you very much, Jeff, and that's an extremely good question to start us off. In terms of how we engage in the international discourse, we do it in a number of ways, and it's central, for example, to the research and insight, some of which I've shared with you today, the technical work, the events that we run, the marketing activities that we deliver, and of course the ACCA qualification. We're extremely keen to engage, and as we do, on a number of issues of relevance to the profession across audit, tax, the future skills the profession needs. Ultimately, in our discourse, our aim is to prove the value of the profession in building and sustaining strong economies, and we do that through capacity building, which is something which is very key to our priorities around the world, and in addition to the ACCA qualification, which is truly global and as such transferable. All of our qualification is based on international accounting standards, which then makes it, it gives it that mobility and transference. Something which is very important, though, as I mentioned, is the capacity building, and that's the role of the accountancy profession in economic development around the world, and that's a particular feature of ACCA's role in the international financial discourse that we have.
Alan, thank you. Do people with a global qualification tend to find themselves pursuing cross-border careers?
Yeah, again, a really good question. You probably gather we speak to our students and our members a lot from the huge network that we have, and we surveyed our global membership around their career aspirations, goals, and benefits, and we did that in June 2013. And we had respondents globally. We had over 4,000 respondents coming back to that survey around career aspirations. Now, not surprisingly, mobility was something that came out very strongly from their feedback. Mobility in terms of working internationally, but also mobility in terms of multi-sectors as well. And so just to give you a sense, we had 63% of our members saying that they had multi-sector experience, and that added to very much to their career, including experience within the corporate sector. We also had over 60% saying that they would look to expand their career horizons, looking to work in other markets as well. So in fact 62% said that they wanted to experience another culture and that they would use the ACCA qualification as a passport effectively to gain them employment opportunities in different areas around the world. So I think in short it does give the ability to pursue cross-border careers and cross-sector careers as well.
Mm-hmm. Certainly does. A couple more questions here. This one related to the banking crises that we have watched across the news. We've seen that it seems like several of the world's latest banking crises related to unethical accounting. So where does the ACCA come down on this, and how does the ACCA address this?
Yeah. Well, again, another extremely good question. When I look back, ACCA has been the first in doing so many things. and I also believe we were one of the first accountancy organisations to address the causes of the financial crisis. From 2008 onwards, we've published a number of policy papers that has talked about risk, reward, and also failures in corporate governance. We've also offered solutions to issues, especially about corporate governance, which we believe is central to ensuring that risky behaviour is challenged. Ethics is something which is extremely important. Professionalism and ethics and governance are extremely important within the competencies of the ACCA qualification, and it very much is the centre of that wheel that I showed you earlier. I think we are headed in the right direction, but we must continue to remain absolutely watchful in terms of pursuit of excellence and delivering public value through ethical practices, and I think ACCA does very much achieve that through its qualification.
Alan, the question that I've gotten probably more often than any other is students asking about the relationship between the ACCA designation and the CPA designation. Can you talk about, a lot of these students are preparing for the CPA, or they have a CPA, and what is the relationship between the two, and just how do you advise American students to be thinking about the two degrees, the two credentials, I should say?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think first of all, to say that they are two separate credentials with similarities and differences across the credentials. I would say that the biggest difference with regards to the ACCA qualification and credential is the international basis for the qualification and the global relevance and recognition. I'd also say that in terms of the ACCA qualification, we do cover that breadth and depth across the qualification, and what that means is that for students who are looking for either multi-sector careers or wish to specialise in one sector but across, whether it be public practice, the corporate sector, the public sector, across many different industries, what the ACCA qualification will prepare you for the career of your choice. So I do think that a major difference is the global relevance, but also the global services that ACCA offers in terms of the ACCA credential and the ACCA network. I mentioned the markets earlier as examples, actually, not a comprehensive list, of just examples of where we have networks of ACCA students, ACCA members, and ACCA partners in terms of employers and also learning providers. And I believe that relevance, that reach that ACCA has is what makes ACCA different to other credentials which may be available. Does that make sense, Jeff? You've gone quiet.
Sorry, Alan. I was responding, and then I realized I was on mute. Thank you for saying that. It does make sense. So since most of the audience here is college or are undergraduates in college or maybe master's students, one of our students wants to know, do I have to get an ACCA? Do I have to get ACCA before I start working internationally? What say you?
So one of the features of the ACCA qualification, which we strive to deliver, and I think we'll always deliver, is flexibility. And it links very much to the value of opportunity that I mentioned earlier on in the presentation. So we have a flexible qualification, which means that we have some students who are pursuing the qualification whilst they are working. And by that I mean they're sitting their exams and also working in a relevant accounting and finance role. And that's a really strong model. We also have students who are in full-time education who, for a variety of different reasons, have chosen to work through their exams achieve their exams before they then take employment. When they then pursue employment, they will then achieve their practical experience requirements, which is 3 years of practical experience and working in a relevant role. So by that, what I mean is that there are different journeys through the ACCA qualification, some of which will mean that you're studying and working at the same time. Others will mean you'll be studying and sitting your exams and then achieving your practical experience afterwards. When you're doing professional exams, one thing I would say is that because they are professional exams, and this is a difference to academic exams, when you are sitting professional qualification, they are applied. So they are giving scenarios, giving case studies, and we have many case studies within our professional level papers, which means that experience does add to your performance in the exams, as well as your exams adding to, or your exam training adding to the experience that you gain in the workplace. So we would always recommend, where possible, students gain their experience at the same time at least of sitting their professional level exams, but we maintain flexibility within the qualification, therefore allowing students to tailor the qualification to their individual circumstances. And we firmly believe in not putting artificial barriers in place which then hinder students in working through the qualification.
No, that makes sense, and I appreciate that. What about, I have a question, and I think I even know the answer to it, but you may want to elaborate on this. But one of our attendees wants to know how they can become a member of ACCA. Alan?
To become a member of ACCA, there's a program of exams, there's a program of experience, and there's a set of ethics requirements which must be achieved. So we call them the 3 E's, exams, experience, and ethics. The number of exams you have to take will depend on the route you're coming into the qualification. So if you're coming in with a relevant and accredited accounting degree, then you would have 5 exam papers to take. If you're coming in from, I'm a history graduate, so if you're coming in with a history degree, then of course you would have to build up your fundamental knowledge before moving on to the professional level. So each student's journey will be different, but if you're an accounting student, then you are likely to start higher up the qualification and therefore have less exams to do than if you're not an accounting, from an accounting background. So the broad message, though, is in order to become an ACCA member, it's a professional accountancy qualification which has a program of exams, a program of experience, and also ethics requirements, very importantly, within the qualification.
I see. So you can become a member, a student. There's a student membership, and but I guess you call everyone students, even if they are experienced professionals. But you can become a member, and then you can. That is something you do before you actually get the certification. Is that right, Alan?
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, so just to clarify, so you would become a student member of ACCA before you then become a full member. So when you register with ACCA, that then enables you to undertake the qualification, access so many more resources that I haven't been able to show you today, and get the support to then work through the qualification. We do actually have, in the spirit of technology and science driving us forward, we have an app which you can download onto your, I do sound like a salesman now, you can download our app onto your iPhones and your Androids, which is a free app, and that app will actually lead you through what you need to do to become a student and a member of ACCA. So for those of you with your smartphones out there, I would recommend you have a look for the ACCA app, because it is a really helpful tool in understanding what your journey to becoming a complete finance professional would be.
I've got a very random question, and then we're going to wrap it up because we're a couple minutes over. But as you can tell, we've had a lot of questions, but this is kind of a fun one. We have a student who is going to pick up a second language. This is an American student, and was wondering if there is a language that you would recommend that would be beneficial learning if they went into global accounting. Now, there's surely no right answer, but I'd be curious what your opinion is on that.
Well, that's a really interesting question, actually, and what I would say is that from all the research that we've done, English language is still the global business language, and the language which will then give you that passport in order to work across different markets. I think it's always brilliant to have a second language. I myself very badly speak Spanish, attempt to speak Spanish. So always I think learning languages and learning about new cultures is really, really important when you're working in a global marketplace. I bet you're all thinking, I wonder what Spanish sounds with a Scottish accent now, but anyway. So I think learning another language is always a skill that will be valuable in your tool bag. What I do think, though, as I said, is that English language is seen as the global business language and will be seen as that going forward from the research that we see. So having an English language accountancy, professional accountancy qualification will give you that passport to working across borders.
I would be very curious what Spanish sounds like with your accent, and I bet everybody else thought that too. And
well,
also,
I can tell you it sounds awful.
We also had a question or a comment from one of our attendees who said, when you referenced Sean Connery earlier, that ironically it is James Bond week here in the United States. So your timing is perfect. So Alan, I can honestly say this is one of the most thoughtful presentations we have ever had, and a lot of people are writing in saying thank you so much. You have clearly do speak from the heart about this topic and are extremely knowledgeable. I think this is a great introduction to ACCA to a lot of accounting students here in the States. There are a lot of questions I unfortunately could not answer, but I did send out 2 very helpful resources. There are real people at that email address that I sent out for support at ACCA Global, and also at the chat line that I mentioned. So if I did not answer your question, couldn't ask it, please reference that. Alan, before I end our session today, I'd like you to have the last word. Please know how grateful we all are that you took the time to be a part of this today.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff. I'd like to say firstly thank you to my colleagues Sarah and Sujata for all the support in the lead up and throughout the event. Also to you, Jeff, for chairing so brilliantly. To the audience out there, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to such a talented group of accounting majors. As I said at the beginning of the presentation, hearing all of the locations across the US was mesmerizing for me. I would like to offer you every success in your career, wherever that may go. I hope it does go to becoming a complete finance professional, taking economies and organizations into the future and being the CFOs and, as I said, the CEOs of the future. But for now, from me, it's, well, thank you so much for this opportunity and absolutely the best of luck in your future careers. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. That concludes today's session. Alan and team from ACCA, we thank you, and we will end the webinar now. Everybody have a good day. Alan, have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.